This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work, responding to another Ask Prof Wolff question from our Patreon community. And this question comes from Mary Ann Fraser. And like other questions that we choose, we try to pick questions that are similar to what others have asked us as well, to be as responsive as we can. And Mary Ann Fraser's question is one of those. She says that the word socialism has been associated with so many negative, horrible in some cases, realities, and even more imaginary disasters, that it is no longer workable. She asks, don't we need a different word, a different concept? Might something like progressive or democratically progressive or constitutionally democratic or other such phrases be a better substitute that avoids the negative associations that have come to be attached to socialism? And she wants to know whether that isn't perhaps an urgent requirement now that there is openness to critiques of capitalism, to the notion that we can go better and do better. So let me begin by acknowledging that Mary Ann Fraser has her finger on an important issue, no question. I've asked myself, and I've been with others who've asked themselves that question over time often. It's real, it's genuine. So my answer to her is the answer I finally found for myself. And my answer is, I think, not that it isn't an issue, but that in the end result, we should hold on to the term socialism. And I want to explain why. First of all, there is a matter of historical honesty. We are not the first people to figure out in our lives that this is a system that the human race can do better than. The yearning to do better than the world you are born into, the world you grow up into, is not new. Millions of slaves felt that way about slavery. Millions of serfs felt that way about feudalism. And millions of working people, the employees that are the vast majority of the world's people today, they feel that way too. And the word that they use and have used for nearly 200 years now is the word socialism. Socialism is, as I've tried to write in my books, above all a yearning to do better than what we have. I don't want to lose that. And I'll admit that I'm also affected on a personal level by knowing how many people in how many countries, every country on earth by now, have struggled to formulate criticisms of the way the world is now, a capitalist world, and to push in the direction of a better world that isn't capitalist, that replaces the capitalism we're familiar with something that we can feel our way will be better. You know, when slaves used the word freedom, does it have some vagueness to it? Yeah. What exactly does freedom mean? Well, the clearest thing it means is no more slavery. But what exactly it will entail, how free will we be if we're not slaves, that was a fuzzy, open-ended issue that had to be worked out once slavery was done. And the same applies to serfs who wanted no longer to be subordinated to some lord, to be the subject of some king. When we got rid of monarchy and feudalism, we did get rid of a subordination, but what exactly the slogans of the French and American Revolution would mean, liberty, equality, fraternity, democracy, we weren't so clear. And the folks back then, they weren't so clear either. So yes, socialism isn't all that clear. Or to say the same thing another way, socialism has been defined differently and used differently by different people. We have to own that. I accept that. We have to be able to say, this is the part of socialism we want, and these are the aspects of what some socialisms have been that we do not want. We can do that. I don't think that's all that complicated. And I don't think that's something that the mass of people won't understand. We're all smart enough, and the world has been around long enough, and history has taught us enough to know that all kinds of definitions exist for all of these systems. All kinds of uses are made of the impulse to create these systems. They're not all wonderful, they're not all successful, and we don't endorse all of them by saying we're for freedom, not slavery, we're for non-monarchy, we prefer democracy, and likewise, we can say we prefer a socialism over a capitalism. That doesn't mean we have to accept everything that socialists have done. Indeed, we should, we can, and we are making distinctions. Look, here in the United States, in a sense, there's a certain amount of proof or evidence for what I'm trying to argue. Yes, socialism and communism were equated and demonized for most of the 70 years since the end of World War II. No question. And yet, starting in 2016, and now again in 2018, and again in 2020, politicians have accepted the name socialist. They haven't run away from it, as they did in the previous 70 years. It isn't political suicide anymore to say, yes, I have some affiliation to, some sympathy for, some kinds of socialism. Bernie Sanders opened the space. We're in his debt for that, no question. And he put that adjective out there, didn't he? Democratic socialism, to underscore that there are different kinds of socialism with different adjectives to distinguish one from the other. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she did it too. And they have been wildly successful, far beyond what the established Democratic Party leadership imagined or wanted. And it's growing. More Ocasio-Cortez type young people have been running and winning seats in the United States Congress. It is remarkable. When you put all that together, I think we have more to gain than to lose by holding on to that socialism, by saying there's much in the way of heroes and heroines, much in the way of social progress that was won by socialists, often leading the effort, often part of the effort. We don't renounce any of that. And we're a little bit, I'll admit it personally, little suspicious when it is urged on us, not by people like Marianne Fraser. She's clearly trying to figure out the best way for us to move forward. From her, the advice is to be taken seriously. The question is a good one. But there are others who want to do much more than bury the name. They want to bury the impulse. They want to bury the yearning to do better. At a time when capitalism, particularly in the United States, has failed so spectacularly around the economic crash we're living through, the public health disaster of COVID-19 we're living through. But even the little moments, the one this last week in which a government of the United States, after giving trillions of new dollars to corporations and banks all year, decided it couldn't raise the minimum wage from $7.25 to $15. It decided to reduce the help we give to the unemployed, some of which have been unemployed for the entire year, the extra we give them, to reduce it from $400 to $300 a week. I mean, the insult to the vast majority of us, side by side with the endless generosity to the richest amongst us who need it least. If you're not a socialist watching this, I don't know what's left for you to think and do. For all these reasons, with all due respect, and I mean it, to Marianne Fraser I say, we do need to hold on to socialism in one way or another. This is Richard Wolff for Democracy at Work.